We are live. What is going on, everybody?
Uh,
What is going on? Today we have the amazing Scott from Beard Times with Scott. If you guys watch his YouTube channel and kind of a beard community member, he's been one of the people that I've looked up to since I came in. Very
yeah,
excited to have him in. And the cool thing about him is he matches up with us perfectly because he was a drummer for a heavy metal band. And of course, that is our love. We are metal heads right here. So, what's going on, Scott?
Thank you all for having me. I appreciate the
absolutely.
kind words. It's nice to be looked up to, and I'm only like 5'8", 5'9", so I'm kind of like the short dude. That's really cool to know.
Yeah, well, you've been on. I mean, honestly, when I started doing beard content or started you just getting in the beard community and looking at beard oils and stuff, you were one of the key, guys out there. Still are. You're still hanging around, but that was one of, I looked up to a lot of the content creators from that time period, and you were one of them. So yeah, very excited to have
Yeah,
you on.
absolutely. I remember watching early videos. I think when I first got my first product from Walmart, which was Wild Willie's.
Oh,
It's funny how all the stories that we all share, not to knock anybody, they're almost all the same. They are. If you think about it, we all looked somewhere
Yeah,
and just boom, you found that person, and
yeah,
then it's true. It's crazy how, in a way, everyone almost follows the same path, but different ways. We all
right,
meet, and it's really cool how that happens.
right.
yeah, I think so too. Absolutely cool. Very cool. So, so we have, of course, this is the segment where we're going to talk about our favorite desserts because that's what we do here. We do tasty licks, which is our dessert. So let's talk about dessert. Scott, what did you bring in today for your favorite dessert?
I held this off for the green room. I didn't say it in the green room. I had an idea. Unfortunately, because my wife is having a hernia surgery tomorrow, I didn't have time to prep it. But I got to share my idea. What I was going to make is my daughter's grandmother's famous banana pudding, and it's like one of a kind, and it's legitimately the big bowl and the layers with the a double different versions of the pudding. French vanilla, then the vanilla, then the banana, the real
Yeah,
bananas. Dude, it's like a layer of like heaven. I didn't have time to make it, unfortunately. So I went to my everyone who watches me, my favorite thing is Skittles. And I said, you know what? Everyone knows that. So I want to step back to my number two, my two favorite snacks that I always go to, Airheads and my Haribo Happy Colas. I gotta have these. These
yeah.
are always in the cabinet at all times.
Very good.
If anyone's asking, this is the perfect 1-2 combination. Cherry and orange, mix them together. Thank me later. That's all I'm gonna say.
There we go.
There
Right
you go.
on. Right on.
Oh yeah.
Very cool.
What's Andy have?
And
What did Andy
uh,
make?
so I'm going to say this
It
time
better
I
not,
did
it better not
not.
be one. It better not be one ingredient.
So
It better not be
last
one ingredient. It better not be a banana.
I brought a banana. No, today
No.
I went with the whole popcorn theme again. So I went just
Oh,
this
okay.
week it's popcorn. But this time it is with a little bit of Mexican in it. It's called chamoy. And
Okay.
it is what is basically all over. If you ever have any of the Mexican candy from the Southwest or from Mexico, it's layered in like an orange red, kind of almost like a glue. That's what chamoy is. So, and it makes it just a little bit of spicy. I absolutely love it on popcorn. I love it on watermelon. Anything like fruit wise, you can put it on there as well as like popcorn or something snacky.
and
So,
it's like a spicy southwestern popcorn. Then
absolutely,
that
yep.
sounds really good. You know what?
Yeah.
That was what my backup plan was, making popcorn. But my downfall, because I'm not as creative as you, I use the shaker things that everybody else does in the world. But I put like every one of them that I can find on it: jalapeno cheese, nacho, chili
Yeah.
lime, and it's like suicide popcorn. Because that's all. That's
There you go.
it's a healthy snack. It is, unless you load it up
Oh
with
yeah.
stuff. I never thought about putting things that you are on it.
Yeah, so I didn't even come up with this. It's my kids. So they buy chamoy, and they were putting it in their drinks. So it's also a very popular thing to put with your drinks, and like with like a fruit juice.
Mhm.
And so they were putting it in there, and then they started adding it to almost everything. And I was like, this is really good on popcorn. And so, yeah, so that was my little. I don't know if it comes with popcorn. I know that I made it with that, so that's what I try it with. So it's
Try
super
that.
good, and it is healthy. And that's the biggest thing there is that I'm semi on a diet, so I need to lose some weight. The pandemic has not had has had its way with me. I sit in a room all day, So let's go next. James, what do you got going on? I know, and then we know we got to bow down to the master, the chef who comes up with Oreo cheesecakes and banana pudding.
Yeah, I made a couple weeks ago. I made caramel popcorn, so that was
Yes, he
good.
did. Yeah.
But no, I got just chocolate chip cookies. I made some chocolate. So,
but
yeah,
okay, but yeah. So, but here's the difference between his chocolate. So, tell me about your chocolate chip cookies, because we know that there's more than just
Yeah, these are banging. Like they're light and airy inside, but even when they came out of the oven and rested, like you can just pop them open and see like the inner like layers of them. You know what I'm saying? They're really good, especially warmed up. Yeah,
so
really
I'm
good.
so gonna just gonna have to.
Toll House didn't have anything today. On me.
That's right. I was thinking that. I was just like, man, this is why I got to go out to Florida. I will never. Well, that's not on my diet, not on the diet, but
yeah,
just
it's been a while since I made cookies, so I had to make cookies.
There we go, man. There we go. So, Scott, we're so excited to have you on, man. And the coolest thing about this is that Beard Scott was, and he still is, a drummer. So he has his. Where's your kit? Your kit is like right next to you, honestly.
Damn, let's see it right there.
Yep. There it is.
Let me see. Let's see. Let me see if I can show you. Maybe.
There we go.
No, it won't move any further. Damn.
Still, we know it's there. It's right there.
The floor tom is 2 feet away. It's a drumstick away, honestly.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Nice.
so he played, and you played in metal bands. He just, so here's the thing. So here's a cool connection, and we'll talk about that really quick. What was the thing you told me in the green room that is a connection with our show?
When you started, Andy, if you guys don't know, he's a beer content. He's semi-retired from making bearded content. I'll say it that way. And he's taking a break, and he wanted to do something different with Tasty Licks. He brought James in, and I think it's really awesome what you're doing. You got my attention when you brought in a guest who I actually played with that person's band before that person was in the band. I forget her name, but you had the female bass player of Kitty. And as soon as I saw that, I said, holy crap, I've played with them long time ago when they were right at the Ozfest age, when Ozfest was the biggest thing to go see. Kitty was coming through our area down in Springfield, Virginia. And I got to play with Kitty. And I don't remember what year it was. It was early 2000s, because that's a long time to say now in music history. Music careers, you could say, that was almost 20 years ago. I got to play with them. I was one of the opening bands, and I know I will never remember everyone else was on the bill. I remember it was 18 Visions. It was at Jack's in Springfield, Virginia, which is no longer there. To answer the question in the comment, yes, I have played with Soulfly. I have the tattoo on my arm. Met Max.
Right.
He signed my freaking arm, and I couldn't go to the tattoo shop because they wouldn't take my credit card the next day. But I do have his autograph on his book, so I got lucky.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
Back to the question. Yeah, when it made me think. I said, okay, I was saying to myself, wow, you're bringing people that I know into the music, and I was like, that's really, really cool. I like this. I'm gonna like these interviews. Really cool.
Yeah. So, and then we also had Morgan on. I don't know if you knew that. She was the lead singer for Kitty.
I got to I got to actually meet Mercedes and Morgan. If anyone knows the era that they were playing, the guitar tech was a guy. He was playing the guitar. I shouldn't say this on camera. He was playing the guitar back behind the stage because they didn't have a second guitar player at the time, and they just said screw it, and he come out and just started jamming.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he was really cool. Really good.
I was watching their story, and I remember them. They had a guy play for him.
Yeah,
I remember that.
He was a part of the crew. I just assumed that he was a tech, because if you're an opening act, you don't really have all access to everything in the back. You just here's your spot. That's what you get. That's how it was.
There's your box, basically, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he played with them for a little bit, for a few shows, I think, and then they found somebody else.
Yeah.
He left the band because he had another band that he had to play with, so he had to leave.
Oh,
I've got to open up and play with a lot of new metal acts and such of that era, I will say, because that's when I was really into it, into that stuff. And then when I formed my own band that I created, we got to a different style, so that we kind of went a different angle, I guess, a different genre we went to go play with, I guess.
That's cool. So tell us about that. So nu metal, for anybody who it's NU metal, right? NU metal.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And so and it was from the early 2000s, late 1990s, but that's when they consider the nu metal to come out. This is when you were playing. Now, when you first started into wanting to play nu metal and into that sphere, what kind of drove you? And then what bands you played with? What was the name of your band? And then where did you play? Where did you gig at? Tell us your experiences with your early on experience with nu metal.
A group I ran backstage with a lot. And honestly, they got me into a lot of their shows. And at this time, I was teching for them, roadieing, and I started out as a fan because they were a local group. And out of nowhere, they had two singers. They're not a band anymore, but they have one CD still on Spotify, Stuck in Chaos. That's KAOS. They're from Martinsburg, West Virginia, where I was from. And I was literally 21 years old. And you go to a bar and you have some drinks and you see some bands, right? That's what we used to do when you were allowed to do that type of thing, and there was a following for it. And they started having field parties at their practice space, which was crazy. Hundreds and hundreds of people in this guy's backyard on a mountain. It's unheard of, right? Well. Right. And it was fun. They had CD release shows there, basement parties, and then all of a sudden, this band broke out of nowhere. Their singer he left on for whatever reason, I can't remember. They were, if you think about it, their vocal patterns were two singers. It's hard to cut from two down to one if you want to continue your song collection. And I kind of sounded like that guy, and I was a nobody. And they said, all of our songs here. So I said, really? Yeah. Why would you not do that? And and then they progressed and got their songs down to a one singer, and I was just like teching for them, whatever they needed, helping out, carrying gear, whatever they needed. And out of nowhere, my old boss. We used to go to the shows together, and he said, "Come over here and let's jam." And I was, sure, go kind of weird when you think about it, going to go play music with your boss, but we got along really great. And he said, "Come over and jam." So we started playing guitar, just legitimately, like in his living room in a little single wide trailer, playing guitar, playing bass. With our little crate amps, because everybody knows how crappy they are. We had crate amplifiers and our digital.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do. And your cool Digitech pedals that sound great. Yeah, with the drum machine on them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, I do, absolutely.
Oh, but you know what? I will never ever say anything bad about it because it was fun. It was something to do, and I got to do, and I was playing or doing something I loved and am passionate about still to this day. But out of nowhere, we were making our own little demo tapes on our 4-track, which we thought they were awesome. And they said, "Hey, on your way up, get a set of drumsticks." I said, "What?" One of them bought a drum set, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." So I went and bought the biggest damn set of sticks I could find, which is a mistake because they destroyed my hands. And broke a cymbal that day. Go figure. And we just started playing, and we didn't have a name. And out of nowhere, because of course we started making songs. Obviously, you don't want to call them 1, 2, 3, and 4. You want to give them names. So kept getting further, getting along, and we had to come up with a name. And I had no part in the name. And our singer, he followed war a lot in history. He wanted to call our name band Fifth Column. Where the hell he called it, I don't know. But I know it's something that has to do with World War I or World War II. I can't remember. And they said basically, it had a meaning of some sort as you stood out. And I said, do you realize there's hundreds of people with that name? So obviously we trashed that. The worst place. We're sitting at a strip club. In a strip club in West Virginia. And we're sitting there, I'm not making this up. We had strippers writing words on napkins trying to help us think of a name. And I still have the napkin to this day. And they said, and Tommy says, because at the time, Disturbed was the big name, the big popular band. Too bad Disturbed's already taken. That name's awesome. Out of nowhere, we were all annoyed and pissed off. I said, what about the name Disfigured? And I said, wait a minute. Disfigure, in true story, I got it from right here. Stain Dysfunction. Is it spelled D-Y-S function, spelled wrong. I said, D-Y-S-F-I-G-U-R-E. And I said, that's it. The name is officially trademarked. I own it to this day. To this day, I own that name.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool story.
Chris goes.
It had no meaning. It has no meaning whatsoever. Just the name or the word is spelled wrong. There's no meaning to it, really.
That's awesome.
That's a cool story. Now, so that means that you didn't start off as a drummer.
No. When we started making music, keep in mind, our songs came from pre-drum machine. We were making the music without a drummer. Right. It changed because we all kind of got different jobs and it just separated. Well, my boss, my bass player, he started playing music with my younger cousin and his best friend. And they were, I'm not kidding, I think they were under 21. Danny, he was 19 or 20. AJ was 16 years old. So I showed up at their place. I said, okay, what's going on here? Here they're playing music together. And I just picked up a microphone because I used to holler with another group before. And boom, the band was formed right there. It was right there on the spot. It was Disfigure. And we started playing practicing on a regular basis. And finally, this is how the circle comes tenfold. The guy who I replaced in that band I told you about before, he started a new band. We ran into each other and he says, come here, listen to this. Come here, listen to this. Boom. An hour later, we had our first show booked and we had not even 30 minutes of material ready. So it's 2:00 in the morning. Jason and I are leaving the strip club where we saw that guy and named our band. And we said, we have to go tell these two. So I went to their houses and woke them up. I said, we have a show in 2 weeks. And in March, our official show was March 5th, 2005. We played, and we played, was my band, Under Every Stone from Baltimore, and Cora, who's from Inwood, West Virginia. We packed that place. It was two bands opening shows, and Under Every Stone, they were pretty popular at the time. They had the awesomest name ever. They used to be called Porno Mint. That name is awesome for a band. Porno. That's great. So they changed it to Under Every Stone, and we played. And we had our family there. We had about 300 people in this little bar, and we played 6 songs, and we had the best crowd response the whole night. We had no introduction. What are we gonna do? I said, I'll take care of it. And this is all I did. I said, I got up on stage on his kick drum. I said, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your motherfucking attention, please? Boom, and they just went right into the first song. That's how he did it. But we were along the lines of Hatebreed. That was our style, hardcore.
Nice.
You know that style. We were a mix between Pantera and Hatebreed mixed together. It's what a lot of people called us. And we were famous for doing the tribal thing, and that's where the Max and Sepultura grooves come from. And we played and toured what do they call it? The Weekend Warrior Tour, the weekend tours throughout the week. We did it for a solid close to 10 years. Yeah. Whenever.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, there were nights where we'd park my car at my old job, go play a show, and get dropped off hours later and sleep in the car. My manager would knock on the window and tell us to get into work. We used to do that. A lot of sacrifice to play.
Wow.
People don't understand how much of a sacrifice it is if you're playing. You know, if you have a regular job, it's hard. It really is, because you got to make time for practice and write your music and play it to yourself. It is a headache when it's basically, it's not really I don't want to call it a business, but it is. You got to get all the personalities on par. You got to deal with everyone's schedule, everybody's families, everyone's lives. Yeah. It's harder than people think.
Absolutely so. And that's the reason why we want to talk about it, because people don't realize that making music is an awesome opportunity. It is passion, but it's also sleeping in your car. It's, going to the next gig in the middle of nowhere, especially when you're first starting out. I mean, I know that when you first were starting out, you were probably, in small towns, small pubs, and then just kept growing from there.
What's that stupid Snapchat thing? The rainbow tongue thing?
Yeah. You got to love it. Right on, man. Right on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. What do you got for him, James?
No, yeah, I know. I remember learning more about your bands and learning more about just how you played and whatnot from, I think, last year's the Christmas in July. And I'm pretty sure you remember the question that you asked was what 3 bands that you were in. Mm-hmm. And I think when you'd asked that question, I was up, I think, until like 4 a.m, literally that day. And I thought I had it. I found like 2 bands kind of pretty, found one pretty easy. The other one I found like another hour and a half later. The other one was, it was the Disfigured one. And I thought I had the one, but it wasn't it.
All
early.
I hope he's
video on your stream or on your channel, and you have just an awesome style. I dig how you play and stuff. I dug the music as well, learning more about it.
That's cool, man.
That is really cool.
I was just learning about it. I was just like, holy shit! This dude's awesome. Saying people can hate him, but learning just about him, even at 4 o'clock in the morning, was awesome.
I will say this, and I do, and I guess you could say this is me. Behind the music, I guess you could say, to coin another show we've watched in our lifetimes. I do have a bad reputation from the bearded community as being the loudmouth and the dude is
Yeah.
most hated. Hence, I'm the bad guy. That's where it came from. It's not a Billie Eilish thing. It's a Razor Ramon
Right.
thing. I'm the bad guy.
There you go. I'm the bad guy.
I used to be that way in when I played concerts, though. I was the singer who was not afraid to say that word to talk about the politicians or whatever, But you got to think, it was hardcore music, metal. It was loud in your face, and people don't like to. They don't want to listen to it. But that's the mentality. That's almost like the rock star mentality. It's the rebel,
Right?
Or, go against the grain guy. And I didn't write a lot of political songs. I wrote about real stuff. Prime example, the first Figure album that's on Spotify. Don't anyone say anything negative about it, because I already know it sounds horrible because we did it ourselves. So it sucks. The quality is not the greatest, but the lyrics were kind of politically. It was, what is it called? In the Shadows of Deception. And that pretty much just sounds political to hell and back. Second one we made was Ashes to Existence. And I actually played the drums and the vocals on that entire album. And we did that in Echo's recording studio that was in Sharpsburg, Maryland. It was in a bar, in a farmhouse that looked like you could knock it over with like your hand, but there was like over $1 million of equipment in there. It was, you walk in, you can't even hear anything. It's like beautiful sounding studio. And I'm looking. I said, "Am I allowed to touch anything in here?" It was nice. It was nice. He had. You may appreciate this, Andy. He has some recording equipment. Something, I don't remember what it is. Something from the Beatles. I just don't know what it is, because we can only look at it. You couldn't mess with it, obviously. But he had something there, and I looked at it, and I said, and we did it as a joke. Mark pulled me away. He says, "You can't touch that." And I said, and I looked over at Todd, and he's really, he didn't know what was going to happen. I said, "I'll touch it tomorrow." Well, he knew we were joking. But we got to go in that studio, and that was a crazy, crazy time, because the music was done. Obviously, I went in last, and my drummer was my cousin. He left. He was leaving. He was leaving the band. We knew it. It wasn't a good exit, and I didn't know it until mixing time. I got a phone call from my booking agent at the time, and he says, "We have a problem. Call me at work." He says, "We have a problem. We can't mix the album. Number one, we didn't have any more. What we were doing, my band paid for our hobby. We played enough shows, so much that we didn't have to pay for anything. We had all the studio time paid for itself, all the merch paid for itself, our gas money. They didn't pay for my phone bill. We had it rigged up because I had phone calls so much, because I booked us so much, had to deal with all the clubs and the bands. My phone bill was paid for by the band. That was great. Well, booking agent calls me. He says, and then it turned out it was a 3-way phone call. Todd, the producer, says, "AJ screwed up the drums." "What are you talking about?" He says, "He didn't play to the click track." And I said, it all came through me. You know how the reaction and everything's going through your brain. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? I said, no. It was going through my head. He just butchered everything. So I said, "We don't have any money." I said, we had enough money set aside for the album to be mixed and duplicated. I said, "We can't get into that." And we got lucky. Todd says, "I had a cancellation for today. It's been paid for in advance. If you can get down here and fix the mistake, he's like, you got 8 hours." So I called Mark. I woke him up. I'm talking in the middle of the day. I said, "Mark," I told him the story. I said, "Get your guitar. We're going to Sharpsburg." And luckily, he was only 20 minutes away from Sharpsburg. Okay. So we drove down there, and I'm not making this up. I'm sitting in the studio because Todd knew how my setup was for the most part. And I get in there. He says, "I've already got everything mic'd. You got 8 hours." So we get in. Mark's guitar tracks are already done, right? This is how we recorded them. I had Mark's recording in my head. I had the actual drums enough to where I could just hear them, just enough to hear the tap. And I had a click track going with it so that I knew where I was supposed to be. Mark is he is you know how they got the glass wall, right? And
Right.
He's on the other side playing air Guitar Hero so I could legitimately follow him as a visual cue. And what you hear on Ashes to Existence is the entire album. I did it in 3 hours.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, legitimately, I'm like I'm looking into the camera. I'm like watching my guitar player as I'm like watching for the changes the whole time.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And anybody who knows how you don't get the hours back either. You paid for those hours, and if you mess it up in some way, there's some fouled up, you have to buy more hours, or you just don't make the album.
Yeah, but Todd was very, very, very easy to work with for that album.
That's good.
It was, I will say that, because we had all the music done and ready to go, of course, when we got there, but he added so many layers to that album. It's unreal.
Good mix. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he mixed that thing with no problem whatsoever. And till to this day, I still say that is the best thing I ever made, music wise or whatever. I won't say it was the best thing I've ever created, but for or band I've created, I will say. But the best recording I put out, yeah. I put my heart and soul into that. You could tell if you listen to my lyrics, because obviously it's very hate breed yelling through the microphone, but that was raw. There was hardly any kind of effects at all in there, except for the one where I screamed through Mark's pickup of his guitar, and it actually worked. I picked it up. I said,
wow.
Yeah. The song's Pins and Needles. And I used to, when we played a concert, I would say there are, how it's got a drum roll build up. And I'd say there are two words you always want to tell that person who screwed you over in life. And it's not F you. And I would have the crowd say, eat shit. Well, that's what I said on the recording. And I yelled it through his guitar, and it picked it up in a distorted voice. I said, that's the one. That's it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's creative too. That's creative. And that's the one thing that people don't realize is how much goes into mixing an album to get the final product. Because we're always used to it. Like, you play guitar, going into the studio is one of the most important part of mixing. That's why it costs so much money, honestly. And then additionally, that's the part where a lot of stuff gets changed. A lot of things get done to help that sound, and to do something creative like that. And you have your sound guy who's like, hey, I don't know if that's going to work. You try it, and then boom, it's exactly what needed. That's cool, man.
It's really funny how when we played live shows, the whole entire time I was the singer of that band, we never ever. They played Mesa Boogie amps, so we'll clarify that. They were loud as crap. So when we played shows, we planned ahead. We had 12 road cases on the amps and everything, but we did it because we invested the money. We're like, we need to protect our investment. The drummer was my cousin. He had cases for, most people just throw their stuff in the back of their truck and just go. I can't do that. I took care of my stuff. And people would ask us to borrow our cabinets because we had Mesa Boogie cabinets, but it was easy. We just slap a door on it and run it out the door. And we tell people, just bring your amp, bring your cord, plug in, because we knew we were playing last or whatever. Like, we don't care, just play. But we told them, bring your own amp. That's the last thing you want someone to turn your knob, and that'll ruin your night.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. You dialed that in perfectly to what you want to hear.
We were known as the loudest band because we had Mesa Boogie triple rectifiers.
Oh, wow.
My bass player, Jason, had an SVT4 Pro Ampeg, which is insane. 1,600 watt amplifier would run 4 of their big Ampeg cabinets. Unreal.
That is
crazy.
We
were super loud, big old drum kit. And I told him, I'm like, if we're going to spend this money and for this sound, we need to protect it with the cases. sure enough, they to this day they're good thing we use those cases. Yeah, no shit. Here
No doubt.
I just jammed with a group last week, and I think I made a really good impression on them because when they opened up my Jeep, because it was awesome. They helped the drummer bring the stuff in, which was really cool. You all know how that goes. The drummer's like the Lone Ranger.
Yep.
Everything I had in a case, and I said, yeah, I take care of my stuff, of course.
Absolutely.
So
that's how you know that you've been road warrior, because of the fact that you have to protect it all, because it has to go through so much abuse.
Yeah,
you
people
have to
understand that, because there are nights, in all seriousness, you take that guitar and you throw it to the tech, he's going to drop it, and it's going to piss you off. Or you run by, nick that wall. There goes your headstock right there. Oh, that's happening.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing to have a person who's knowledgeable of your gear, such as how to fix things, change your strings real quick, get the intonation. But not a lot of guitar players know a lot about that intonation thing, and I can honestly say I don't. But I didn't need to worry about it. That it's really sucks for me to say this on camera. Jason, who was my boss and my bass player, I never needed to worry about those things. He was the bass player. He was solid and good, and he was the guy who repaired everything. And in my head, I was like, I don't have to worry about that because I always had him beside me until the day I left. Until the day I decided to leave the band, it was time for me to leave, and that was the beginning of 2013. One reason I left is because I was getting ready to have my second child. In all seriousness, it was a wake up call. It happens to you. And I was like, okay, I've done this enough. And at that time, we just put out that awesome album, and they didn't want to move any forward at the time, and I was ready to move forward musically. Right. And I said, okay, it's not working. It's time to split. So I had my second daughter in 13. 14 rolls around. If you're a musician of any kind, and Andy, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm looking at you in the screen. You get that itch. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You get it. And I looked at Ryland's mother, and I said, I'm playing. I did.
Oh, yeah.
I got to play guitar for a punk rock band called Pain, like Arm Pain. They're from Frederick, Maryland. They were a punk rock band, and they were really good. They were a really good punk rock band. They're on Spotify as well. Timmy
Does
Payne.
sound familiar.
They're really good, very Danzigish, very Misfits.
It sounds familiar.
Good stuff. Timmy Payne used to be in a famous punk rock band called So Damn Thirsty. They were pretty popular in our area, and they split. They on a mutual split. They ended their band. Timmy carried over to Payne, and they were a mix between Danzig and punk rock, and they were really good. And I got to fill in here and there playing guitar, and it was fun. Well, they out of nowhere at this time, I just bought a drum set, and I was bored. I said, you know what, I'm gonna buy a drum set because when I played on Ashes, I just used the studio kit. I never had my own, and I didn't have my own in this figure either because I used Tommy's his kit, and then AJ come in the band and we used his. So I never had my own. I bought this Gretsch Warhawk shitty beginner drum kit off this guy. It was sitting in a barn for 5 years. That's how unused it was.
Oh, wow.
It was $150, red wine colored. It come with the just standard beginner hardware, and it had a Tama Iron Cobra double bass pedal, and that right there was worth $200 itself.
Right.
So I said to myself, okay, I got a beginner drum set. No one needs to know that. And I said, I'm gonna buy the hardware that I want, that I need, and I still have it to this day. It's what I use. It's right here beside me. I bought a rack. I have the curved pearl rack. I use Crash China Ride. just your standard little setup hats, and one rack tom. I'm a 4-piece. Everyone says I'm like a jazzy trap style drummer. That's what they always say. So that's the style that I went for. And I had my drums were flat, all of them. I don't keep anything angled. You know how most drummers, they have them up and in your face.
Yeah.
Yep.
Flat, all flat. And I kept that style. I kept it to this day. But now I'm a big Pearl fan. Obviously, you can tell that. I just love the sound of their drums. I love Birch drums because they're punchy, they're tight and warm sounding in the studio. So my drum kit, which is a beautiful orange sparkle color.
It's a beautiful set. I saw a picture of it the other day. It's really nice.
$268 I bought the kit when I got it. Used. At the time when I bought it, it was like an $800 kit. So I got a steal. Mandy buys my cases, $400. So I got the better end of the deal on that one. But I use Pearl drums. I recently I bought Chris Adler, the former drummer of Lamb of God. I have his snare drum, the Warbird.
Nice.
It's walnut shell. It's a 12-inch, and it is insanely loud. And I use Meinl cymbals and Scorpion percussion sticks. It's a company I found from Chicago. They have sticks for $5 a pair. I'm like, that's a steal. I couldn't pass it up. All right, I know I'm going to do this just because I got to show it. Here's the color. I know people are going to ask.
Oh, it's a beautiful color. Oh, that's a beautiful. Oh my goodness, that is nice.
So much. That's so badass.
No doubt.
It's orange sparkle. Like I said, there's pictures of it on Instagram. You know what? I don't want to be egotistical. Because you take pictures of the things you love, right? I'm like, I could stand here and take pictures of my drums all day long. Then my wife will make fun of me. But I like to use stuff that not necessarily is expensive or high end. I like, just like I do in my bearding companies. If I believe in your stuff, I'm going to use it. I'm going to support it or whatever I need to. Pearl, all the way. Meinl, and I used to be the biggest Sabian cymbal fan forever.
That's what I was thinking. That's the standard.
I didn't want to use Zildjian because everyone uses Zildjian. Don't get me wrong, they're great. But I said, okay, my favorite drummer ever is Shannon Larkin. There's his signature right there on my shoulder. Yeah, I got his signature. Shannon Larkin is from my hometown of Martinsburg, West Virginia. True story. And my stepfather tattooed Shannon when they were kids. They grew up together. I got to meet Shannon a few years ago when he came and played a blues concert down here in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. And my stepdad had told me stories of Shannon when they were kids, growing up. I'm telling this guy stories of his past that he forgot, which is crazy. It's awesome when your favorite musician looks at you and says, "Your name's Scott." He didn't know who I was. He talked to my stepfather about me when they were younger, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this dude knows who I am." It was kind of awesome for that to happen. So that was really cool, man. That was really cool. It really, really was like, and I'm looking at my wife. I was like, "Holy shit! I just met my idol."
Isn't that cool? That is really cool.
I remember seeing Godsmack a while ago. And I think him and Sully did like a drum off, and it was so badass.
Well, it's weird because everyone knows Shannon as being the drummer of Godsmack. He's got that style, that awesome stuff. But I go see him; he's playing blues like the Doors, and he was still so just as good. He's doing these Shannonism things, and it's so much slower. But he was still in the pocket. But it's Tony, the guitar player of Godsmack. It's the bass player of Blackfoot, I think, and they have a new guy. His name's Jesse. He's a new singer they have now. Actually, they're live streaming tonight, if I'm not mistaken. I think they are.
How cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really cool to meet them. We're talking about the cymbals. Shaden he's the biggest influence I have for playing drums. He really is, and I take that to heart because a lot of people say I play a lot like him with the power, the upstrokes and the such. he was the one who turned me on to Sabian. And I was like, okay, they're great. And I said, there's other options out there. I started like everyone else, YouTube. What's everyone using nowadays? And I saw Meinl, and I like them. I think they're made in Germany. But they have different lines. Like, they're more expensive. Mine, the ones I use are Classics Custom. They're brilliant, finished, and they're like $200 range. They're not too expensive because there are a lot more. Because Chris Adler's cymbal alone is $519 for a ride cymbal. I'm like, yeah. So, and these are
one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite drummers, Chris Adler.
Oh yeah, obviously because I use the snare. I mean, I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
I can afford $519 cymbal all the time.
Yeah,
but I like to use the companies that I know make really good quality products, and I stand behind them. If I had the opportunity, you damn right I would endorse this company, and I would gladly be a part of their team if I could.
Right.
Never happened, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, you could pick up a gig. You could pick up a gig. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened. I got to tour with Pain. I played the punk rock tour with them for, I think it was a solid week, and it was fun. The van shut us down, so we had to stop. The van blew up. So left that gig, and I come back home, and I don't know where, I said, I want to make something new. And I found Chris, my old guitar player from Disfigure, who left when I did. We started playing, and he said, I want to have a female singer. Kind of unheard of in the rock and metal era nowadays. Not a lot of people do that anymore. Well, we had a famous one in our area, Shelly Metz. She's pretty much missing in action now. No one ever hears from her. She sounded like Amy Lee. That was her favorite. Her band was called Dreams and Fear. Go look up that band on Spotify. Yeah, they were amazing.
Sounds like Evanescence. Yeah.
Dreams and Fear. Well, I played a couple of shows with their band, and out of nowhere, and I told Chris, I said, you're never going to get her, because I didn't think she'd want to play music anymore. Sure enough, she showed up at my house, and I'm looking at him, because when you got the nucleus of your band, whoever it may be, you got that mind frame, yeah, this is the one. You know what I mean? You got that, what each other's thinking. So we're playing our so-to-be songs to her, and she starts writing lyrics right there on the spot. And I looked at him, and he asked me, he said, what do you think she's thinking it? I said, I think she's our new singer, dude. I said, this is an open book, a closed book thing. He says, are you sure? I said, she's writing lyrics to your song, moron. So we played. We became Solace and Tomorrow. If anyone knows my YouTube channel, that was the music you heard for years with the female singing. That was the group that I was in. We recorded the one song that's on Spotify. It was amazing. The song was amazing. We only paid $350 for it, and the quality is great. Out of Darksville Studio, Jeremy Dove he's the best dude I've ever worked with when it comes to making music. And I wish we could have made more. I really do, because it was fun. My claim to fame playing with them, not making this up, we got a call from the Fillmore in Silver Spring, Maryland. At the time, Evanescence was making their big return to the world. They wanted a female-fronted band to open up the show at a big venue. I will say, we had to guarantee that we could have sold $4,000 worth of tickets. And I said, "Are you insane?" Yeah, without a hesitation, they seemed like that wouldn't have been a problem. And I said, and then we weren't even a band 1 year. I said, you do realize we're still, grinding our teeth. I was like, we don't, we're nowhere near that. This is a great opportunity. We think you can do it. And I said, if you think I'm taking out a personal loan to give you $4,000, you're out of your mind.
Right.
But the thing is, it wasn't in our actual area that we play. And think about it. When you buy tickets to go see Korn, Rob Zombie, some big name, are you really going to buy them from the opening act? Or are you going to buy them from Live Nation or wherever where you're getting your ticket right there?
Oh,
exactly. Right. I tried to explain this to them. I said, this is the greatest opportunity I've ever been offered. I said, we can't do this. I said, we are not going broke or taking out loans to pay
Right.
for this show. And it probably would have been the greatest show we would have ever done, because that would have put us on the map. And the band understood, and I said, we have to regretfully turn this down. So we started getting our name out there, and we got on the radio, we did an interview and all that stuff. And it kind of came and went because drugs got in the way from Shelly, and she stopped showing up. And I went on tour. A group we were playing shows with, 1818, from Pennsylvania, not even 10 minutes away from me. Hey, we got offered to go on a national tour. Can you drum for us? And I said, I thought about it. It's fucked up. I proposed to Mandy at Christmas time in 2016. And I told her, I said, I got asked to do this. And I knew it wasn't going to be a long-term thing. I knew it was going to come and go. I said, I'll do your first tour, and then you're on your own. So I come back. Or while I was out there, we broke down. We kept going. And we had the greatest time. We got to play with 4 or 3 other bands that were young and hungry like us. Actually, the one that we opened up for, Kira, they're touring with Seven Dust right now.
Oh, wow.
Was really cool. So we got our name out there, and we played Missouri, 4 nights in Texas, 2 nights in Louisiana, Atlanta, Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, and then back home.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So I was out on tour, and I was told by my Solace of Tomorrow bandmates that they were going to quit. And it's ignorant of me to say this. I said, you go do what you want to do. I'm actually doing something with my talent. You can go whatever you need to do. I'll deal with it when I get home. And then I come back from tour and haven't really done anything since until last week. I actually got to jam with a band for the first time in 4 years.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
I was really excited when you had messaged me about wanting to get on to do this, because I kind of got that itch again, as you can tell. I'm sure you can already see it in me. And
yep.
Blood and Earth was the name of the band that I got to jam with, and it was a really, really fun time. I got to learn. I got to play some of their tunes with them. Got to meet. It's fun to. It's boring playing drums to yourself because you're laying to the headphones. When you're in a room with a bunch of musicians playing, it's fun. It's a different vibe. And we get to. They are a lot like. I told them they're a lot like Shadows Fall, like that thrashy, hardcore, thrash metal type sound, and I really like that.
That's cool. Have fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you don't get rid of the itch. I've had guitars for a long time, and you just have to pick them up. And I don't. There would be times where you get really busy with kids, but that guitar is still sitting there, and it's still always, you still got to pick it up at least. I pick it up I'm practicing daily now, but I think I went through a couple of years where I was picking it up at least once a week, but it still wasn't. You still got to keep the chops up a little bit, but man, that's so awesome that you're able to go out and play again. That's the really great thing about the things opening up from the pandemic stuff is the fact that you can now play with bands again. I mean, that's what everybody's so excited to play again. Every time I look on Instagram, hey, we're live again. Everybody's just so excited to see live music.
Yeah, I'm super duper excited. One of my favorite bands is coming through the area in October. Cold. They're from the new metal era. If anybody was a fan of Limp Bizkit, you know who Cold is because Fred Durst signed them. And if you never listened to them, go look up their album, 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage. Very, very emotional album. But just go watch them play. And that's all I got to say, because they're one of the best bands I've ever seen. Really, really cool. And I'm really looking forward to going to seeing them.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's very cool.
Yeah, we just ordered some tickets for a show in November, which is actually on my dad's birthday, for ZZ Top.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
ZZ Top in November.
I would love to go see
I'm ready
him.
for that. First time seeing
ZZ
him.
Top
I've always
was there.
wanted to see him.
Oh yeah, you'll love it. I saw ZZ Top with Toby Keith. They were the opener for Toby Keith for a Toby Keith concert.
That's awesome.
Yeah, totally
What's
a great
cool is
album.
that my mom got to meet Billy Gibbons back in the late '80s when they came out with their like big old infamous like Cadzilla, the black Cadillac.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, she got to meet Billy Gibbons.
Oh, that's cool. There, you know what? Talking about your little, the ZZ Top back when they first started recording. Sounds like that little barn that you're talking about. That was like a huge. You know, you would very like, hey, where are we going? That's a studio. That's exactly where they recorded their first album from. Is
Yeah.
something very similar in Texas. Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
I'm excited.
That's cool, man. You know what? I've really enjoyed this discussion. What is your favorite venue so far to have played in?
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna say it's a toss up between two of them. Two venues. The first one's probably going to be the one that I play the most, and it's not even a venue in my hometown anymore because the man who owned it, he passed away a few years ago. It's really cool. It's called Cookies. It doesn't exist anymore. Cookies was this one big open room bar. You know, one big room, had a pool table in the back. That's about it. It was the most fun because at that time, our local scene, everyone was there. You always knew that there was going to be 4 or 5 other bands coming to watch you play to help show support and to get their name out there as well. It was always packed. You always knew there was something going on at Cookies all the time. And sad that Dale had passed away because of cancer. And it was really cool because he always called us the house band because Disfigure played there probably the most because we were there. If we were the band, if we had a cancellation, we were always there no matter what. That's what we always did it for Dale. He passed away in 2016. Kind of sad. Brings a little bit of a tearjerker moment.
Right.
We were the last band to play on the stage.
Wow.
We were. We got asked to come back. At this time, keep this in mind. I was the drummer of Solace and Tomorrow, and me and Disfigure weren't on the best of terms at that time. And my old booking agent, who used to book Disfigure, he calls me and he says, "Hey, we're setting this up for Dale for a memorial." He says, "I got Disfigure." He says, "I got to have you play." And I had nothing against it. I said, "Are you sure that I'm going to be allowed to walk in the room with them?" You know, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was making it as a joke. He says, "I would certainly hope not." He was being professional. I said, "We're going to do it." I said, "Okay." So I get there, and at the time, everyone knew it's almost the same as drama in any other community. All the bands are like, "Oh my God, they're going to have a fist fight." We walk up to each other and it's just like, you just walk. It's just, it's like old times. I walked up, he picked my nose, I picked his nose, and boom, we're about, nothing happened. And people, they were getting ready we played, and I'm not going to say they put on a good show. My band, we stole the show because we actually played new material that was better than the stuff we made before. And people were like, "Oh my God, you guys are getting better." But also, we had been working on our choreography, spinning sticks and doing the group head bangs. We were trying to put a show on. So we kind of were in sync. Disfigure gets up there, and of course, he says, "Get up here." I got up and sang the last 2 songs with the group, and it was like kind of a, tearjerker moment, because you're like, holy shit, this has been 10, 20 years in the making, and we're now closing this bar. I was like, wow. It was a really good. Second venue ever, a favorite venue. It's one down in Louisiana. I'm sad to say this, I don't remember the name of the place, but I know I was in Slidell, Louisiana. That's when I was torn with 1818. We showed up in this town. And it's just one of them towns on Saturday nights that closes at 12 o'clock and everything shuts down. There's nothing, it's your home, whatever. We get there at 12 o'clock. Sure enough, everything's closing except the liquor stores and the bars. So we check in at the bar, and they said, well, we're not going to open until 5. You guys here do whatever. So we go to this mom and pop little bar. And I'm not kidding. You walked in the door. I'm legitimately front door. 1 foot away is the bar stool number 1. So this Louisiana girl with that accent I'm doing right now, she says, howdy, what can I get for you all? You're not from around here, are you? I looked over at them, and we had a female bass player, Whitney. She was the best drinker of all of us on that fucking tour. It was great. She says, we're shit-faced in here, aren't we? I said, uh-huh. I said, just smile. Just smile and order. So we're sitting in there, and Whitney she was the person who educated me about drinking bourbon and certain bourbon. That's a different community as well, the drinking community. And she was, this is good. This is good. Well, at that time, I was on this Scotch kick. I was loving drinking Scotch. I'm not making this up. They had a half a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue. It's like $200 some a bottle.
Right.
Well, I drank a drink. I took a drink. I said, how much would you charge me for a shot of that? $5. And I looked over at everybody. Here, it's $40 to $65 a pour. So I said, can we get one each? Sure. So I asked her, I said, how much will you charge me to take the rest of that bottle home? She said $20. I handed her $50, and we ran out the door.
See you later.
We're running downtown in Louisiana with an open Scotch bottle because I didn't have the lid. Whitney's following behind me. I cannot believe you did that. I said, shut up, get to the van. So I had come home with a half a bottle of Scotch that I paid $20 for, of Johnny Walker Blue. That's awesome. Great. But we get to the venue. We're down in Louisiana at that time frame. We have Yingling because we're from PA. That's like our beer of choice because it's our beer here. They had it in Louisiana. They had it, and no one was drinking it because they didn't know what it was. They gave us 3 whole cases of Yingling to take with us for free. They gave us all free bar tabs, all 4 bands. They gave us an apartment in the back that we could have stayed in and showered and washed our clothes and everything. And they fed us a whole buffet of like Cajun food.
Oh, wow.
And Mushroom Head walks in the door. Mushroom Head was playing the next night. And, and we're like, because they wanted to see who was playing, before. And no one knew who they were because they weren't in their getup. They were in their street clothes. I said, that's Jeffrey Nothing. Smile, shake his hand, say, hey, what's up? And he walked in and he says, you're the only one who knows who I am. I said, yeah, we'll keep it that way. Nobody knew them because they weren't in their masks and stuff. I was like, I know who you are.
That's cool.
But that was one of the greatest shows ever because we're in the middle of a town that they didn't know any of us, and they treated us like we were kings. All 4 bands, and all the the whole performance was great that night. It was really fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool. I love these stories, man. I unfortunately have a hard stop because you know what tonight is for anybody out there who is a basketball fan. And we got the Sun shirt on tonight. The Suns playoff game, finals, game 2 is on. So, and also we like to keep it to an hour. So, yeah, that's mostly the reason we keep it to an hour. But what we do want to do is have any last words from you, Scott. Any last thing that you want to impart about your musical journey? Anything that's coming up for you that we could look for?
Musically, I really can't answer that right now because I guess you could say I did a tryout for Blood and Earth, and I don't know if it's I got the gig. I know they're still trying people out, so I'm not going to put them on the spot, but you may see me drumming for them in the future. But I come from the bearded community. That's where a lot of you know me from. But I kind of was going to put it on here. If you all are wanting to see me play stuff, let me know on my social media, because honestly, all I have to do is turn the camera to the side and film me playing tunes or whatever. I've never actually endeavored into doing that yet, but a lot of people have asked me, why don't you do that? Well, I'll ask you, James. Why would you want me to do that? I've never been asked to do that before. Why would you want me to do that?
Oh, why don't you play?
Yeah.
I mean, I think just because everybody else is wanting to, but like also it's just just to see you jam out and just and that's about it. Really, just enjoying a jam session.
Yeah. Well, I asked that question because when I was making music and stuff, that never really come across to me. You know, we should be filming this live at that time frame. Right. That wasn't a thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Now that's a new generation and stuff.
Right.
Filming live is like a thing to do every day. 10 years ago, we would have been looking at each other. What is that? What do you make a live DVD? That's about all you would think of.
Right.
But the thought has crossed my mind. Honestly, it has, and I'm really considering doing it. I just need to get better, and I probably need to talk to you, Andy, about getting the audio equipment so that when I'm hitting a cymbal, it doesn't sound like your phone's going to die. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. We can definitely hook you up with. I can tell you what I would use. Yeah, for sure.
Because I've never really mic'd drums or know how they would sound other than annoying and rambunctious.
Yeah, I got the SM50. Yeah, Shure has a whole set of nice drum things that you can use for drums. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, okay. I'll definitely happy to help you out. And then what digital interface to throw at you? Yeah, there's some really decent, affordable digital interfaces that you can go use, and you can just pipe it right into your phone or into your computer, either one. That's what I use. I use a digital interface with my Shure mic. I have a Shure SM7B, which is, you can use that for drums, but I would go SM57 with your drum kit. It's a better instrument one. But yeah, we can talk offline for sure.
Okay.
Cool. James, any last questions?
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. Yeah, it's been awesome kind of to get everybody into this and like I say, getting to know more about you and everybody else knowing more about you.
I appreciate the time. I really do. I'll end on this note. Everyone, keep my wife and her hernia surgery in your thoughts and prayers for us tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, in prayers.
Absolutely. And thank you, everybody who joined us, everybody who's in the live stream now. We totally appreciate you coming in. Every week, me and James just have a blast with doing this. Music is our passion as well, and talking music has absolutely been just a complete blast. Scott, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your stories. Absolutely enjoyed it. And so we'll have to be able to, we'll catch up with you again, when you get maybe, in a bit. See where your career's going. We'll catch up with you. So again, thank you guys all for coming on in.
Absolutely.
Rock on, guys. Rock on.